troublemaker. I've been a late night player. I've been broke as a joke. I've been a money maker. I've been a record breaker. Taking credit as an educator. I've been known to spit the flows and make it shaky, shaky thing. Popping, locking, stopping, let it hang. Watch us as we drop this hip hop. It's like it stings. We make the whole room drop and everybody sing. We want the funk. We gotta have that funk. We kick it old school. We think we're so cool. We take it back to the past. We gonna act a fool. Enough jumps. The middle finger make my.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Sports Buzz Fanatical View. I am your host, Scott D. Lewis, here live in studio, Comcast Cable, Channel 23, downtown Danbury, Connecticut, on this very pleasant early summer day, June 21st, 22nd, actually. You know, the calendar has just turned as we move out of that wet spring into what hopefully will be a nice summer. And we're off to a pretty good start, so happy about that. Sad that we were away the last 2 weeks. Did anything happen in the sports world the last 2 weeks? I mean, how many championships could have gone down and big events in the last 2 weeks while we were gone? Unbelievable. We missed it all, but we're going to do a rapid fire run through everything on tonight's show. My right-hand man, Mr. Bob Bron Jr., who has been the director in recent weeks and episodes, is on vacation. I do believe he's going to call in. And thankfully, just in time, we had our long-lost real director. Not that Bob did a bad job. He actually picked it up quite well. But Mike Toohey is back. Their shows, of course, Spotlight on Tuesday nights at 9, Wednesdays at 12. Mike's show is still alive and well, even though he's been dealing with work things. Expose Cinema, Friday nights at 9 and Wednesdays at 1. And of course, the phone lines are open, 203-792-4101. You can call, or you can wait and see if Bob calls and he steals all the thunder and see what he's got. I will mention it was awfully nice of Bob to tell me today, this afternoon, about 1 o'clock, that, oh, by the way, I'm in New Hampshire. I won't be at the show tonight. What? Get out of here, Bob. And I think that's him calling. Let's see if that's him. Speak of the devil, hello, this is Sports Buzz. Is this my right-hand man, Mr. Bob Bron Jr.?
It is, Scott. How are you?
Very well. How you doing there on vacation?
Well, it's kind of cool up here in New Hampshire.
Oh, yeah, a little bit cooler than down here? Yeah, well, I could see that. It was down to like 58, 59 overnight last night here.
Yeah, it's about that up here.
During the day, what's it like? It's got to be a little warmer than that.
It wasn't that warm today. It was cool. We went to the beach, but it was quite. Actually, I'm down on the beach right now, and it's still cold.
Wow! Bring the sweaters for this trip.
Oh yeah, I got the sweatshirt on, and there's nobody out here. It's kind of very bare.
Well, I don't know. Maybe
today.
Candy wants to hear this. Candy's heading north next week on vacation. Candy, of course, one of the mainstays down here at the station, who runs things with Dave King.
I mean. Tell her this is the perfect spot to come.
All right, I'll tell her, but I'll tell her to bring her sweatshirt as well.
Yeah, Hampton Beach is cold tonight, but you know.
You know who else is? You know who else is cold,
we're
Bob?
like 5 minutes from the ocean, from the border, so it's really warm.
You know who else is cold? Your Danbury Westerners.
Oh, I know.
They're as cold as the New York Mets.
Fire, and then we cooled right off.
Yeah, 5-1 start. Now they're 5-6. They got thumped the other night. What, 17-3?
Yeah, we didn't get the extra point.
No, they did not. They got a safety and a point or something. I don't know, but yeah, the pitching has really been a problem all of a sudden after that really hot start. So. You know, we like that new manager they got. He's got all the energy and he's got the confidence, and he says it's championship or bust, basically. He wants to go bring Danbury the first championship in the NACBL, the longest standing team in that conference, in that league. But they're going to have to turn around quick. But thankfully, they had the good start, so they're still at 5-6, which isn't terrible.
I know. Well, hopefully we can bring it back around, you know. It's early in the season, unfortunately, you know.
Right. It is still early. Your Mets still dealing with some issues out west.
Yeah, they're falling, and they're in what, about fourth place now?
Fourth place. Last I checked, 31-39. They play again tonight late in LA. As we'll see how many more home runs are hit in tonight's game. What do you think of this idea of the ball being juiced this year, Bob, with all these home runs that we see?
No, I think that's a lie. I think that's just the pitchers are just having,
You think so?
Having their
Bob, they've hit over 2,000 home runs on the season in Major League Baseball, which would put them on pace to hit over 6,000, which would shatter the record for most home runs in a season by all teams combined. And you got guys hitting 3 home runs on the regular. And we've even had that one kid from Cincinnati, the native from Cincinnati, who had about 15 home runs in his career. He hit 4 home runs in a game the other week.
I know.
I don't know, Bob. I kind of think with everything that ESPN does where they're tracking the distance, so it's not just about how many guys are hitting home runs, it's about the distances. And guys have hit long home runs before in their career, in their history of baseball. But because ESPN is promoting this stat tracker thing, which they came up with a handful of years ago, every time you hear about a home run, you hear the distance. So I kind of think there's something to this juice baseball thing, Bob.
I don't know. I mean, it's very possible, but it's something that even in our league, it's been they've been talking about that already as the ball could be juiced.
I was listening to part of the Westerners game the other night when they were getting killed. And somebody hit a big bomb in the inning that I was listening, so they're hitting the distance too. And of course, the Yankees got their big guy, but the Dodgers had a couple guys, and you've been seeing them firsthand out west. That kid who's hit like 22 home runs in 50-something games his first year in the bigs. So, and then of course last night we saw Yasiel Puig posing after his home run. You think the Mets are going to plunk him tonight in the first inning, or what?
It's a very good possibility.
Maybe. The Mets got nothing else going on with all their injuries, with all their poor play. They might as well show some pride and plug Puig as soon as he comes up after he posed, after that home run, and then took 30 seconds to round the bases. Your Mets obviously way behind. The Nationals are 43-28 in the NL Central. It's the Brewers still up over the Cubs, 38-35. Cubs 36-34. How about the Rockies, Bob? 47-26. Dodgers actually moved ahead of them. Dodgers have 10-1 in their last 11. I think Dodgers are now 47-26. Arizona right behind them, 44-27. So 3 teams out west really playing very well. In the American League, the Red Sox briefly had moved over the Yankees yesterday, but in the day game yesterday to end their road trip, they lost to the Royals as Salvador Perez hit a grand slam in the 8th inning to put the Royals ahead 6-4. So instead of finishing that game maybe 4-2 and a road trip of 5-3, they end up 4-4 on that trip and fall a half game behind the Yankees, who had lost 7 in a row. But they finally won last night against the Angels. So the Yankees, who were so red hot early in the year, came back down to earth on that 1-6 road trip, losing 7 in a row. But we'll see. And of course, Judge, another one who's hitting these monster home runs, tape measure jobs, and doing it well. So I don't know. This juice ball thing is a little bit interesting. We'll see what happens as the season goes on. I mean, these are going to be the balls they'll use all year. So you don't think they're going to sub out the baseballs, do you?
No, I don't think so. But it's anything could happen. I mean, who knows? Maybe the bats are corked. I don't know.
Could be. Maybe Sammy Sosa break a bat and the corks go flying all over the place.
Right.
Also in the American League, Cleveland finally moved ahead of Minnesota, so they are now in first place. Kansas City's trying to creep up. They're a game below 500, so maybe the Royals are getting back to some winning baseball. It hasn't been great for them in the past year and the start of this year after they won the World Series against your Mets. Out west, it's Houston still saying hello at 48-24, and they're only 5-5 in their last 10, and they're still 24 over 500, so they've been playing great. Angels in Texas have been hovering around 500. All right, Bob, I got about 10 million things to get through. I'm going to try to go rapid fire through a whole bunch of stuff since we were away, but it's nice to actually hear your voice. You've been directing this show. We haven't had any banter between the two
more
of us.
than anything else for the last couple weeks. So
I know, but we got Tui back. I'm on vacation next week, so we'll be off again. And then maybe after the 4th of July, we'll get the whole gang in here and we'll do a regular show for once.
Yeah, well, hopefully we can do that.
All right. Well, good to hear from you.
Anyway, have a good time on your vacation. Where are you going?
I am heading overseas, Bob, to Barcelona.
Oh, have a nice time.
Yes, thank you very much.
You know?
I will try and enjoy.
So when I see you come back, you'll have a tan, hopefully, right?
I think so. Yes, indeed. I am looking forward to that. All right, so I will see you when I get back, and enjoy the rest of your trip. Say hello to the family, and I hope everybody's having a good time.
Yeah, we're going to Yankee Stadium on Sunday to see the for Old Timers Day.
Old Timers game on Sunday. All right.
Yeah.
Well,
it's my wife Jolene's birthday.
Happy birthday to Jolene, and you guys have a great time.
Yeah, we will.
All right.
So I'll talk to you soon.
All right. Take care.
All right. Bye.
And that is our right-hand man. Finally, we get to hear his voice. It's been a long time since we actually heard his voice. All right, we're going to shift gears. We're going to move quick because we got a lot to get to. The NBA Finals finished off while we were gone. The NBA Draft is tonight. So on the heels of the Warriors putting the smackdown on Bron Bron, Paul James, and the Cleveland Cavaliers, Kevin Durantula, we see right there, blowing by Bron Bron for another dunk. Was the MVP of that series, and the Warriors beat them 4-1. So Bron Bron goes 3-5 now all-time in the NBA Finals. 2 of the finals came against San Antonio, who everybody knows should have won that series if it wasn't for the traitor Allen miracle 3 and the poor coaching decisions by the so-called best coach in the league, Greg Popovich. And what did San Antonio do when they came back from that series? They pummeled the Heat to make sure emphatically everybody knew that they should have won. So that was one of Bron's series where he got lucky and then he got his justice served back in his face the following year. Last year, everybody knows that the Warriors should have beaten the Cavaliers, but the league intervened with the suspension of Draymond Green, and the Cavs came back down from 3-1, and they won that series. So what happens this year when revenge gets its first chance again? The Warriors pummel them 4-1. You add that first time Bron was in there with the sweep against the Spurs. I don't know. I just don't know about this whole Bron experience in the NBA Finals. You know, got bailed out once. One because, you know, it was Dwayne Wade's team, not his team, against Oklahoma City. And then, you know, the miracle comeback with the league intervening in the suspension last year. And the Warriors playing with Steph Curry hurt in that series as well. And they get pummeled this time around. And spare me that the whole thing, his delusions. Yeah, I mean, I can't believe this guy. He says after the series, I never played on a super team. You formed a super team in Miami, and I never played on a team with that much firepower, saying that the Warriors. You basically have that much firepower now. If you go at it with the top 4 players on each squad, Bron Bron versus Durant, you got to give that the edge to Bron Bron because he's supposed to be the best player in the league, even though Durantula owned him in this series, owned the Cavs, and was the MVP. Then you got Curry versus Kyrie. Kyrie is equal to Curry and sometimes even more unguardable to Curry offensively, but you give the edge there a little bit to Curry because he has won some MVPs. And then you get the wash between Klay Thompson and Kevin Love. Remember when this Warriors team was up and coming, everybody thought that they should trade for Kevin Love for Thompson, so that's got to be at least a wash. And then you got Draymond versus Tristan Thomas. Thompson is not the all-around player Draymond is, but spare me all these guys who think Draymond is automatically a Hall of Famer. I don't know about that. We need to see a lot more from him. He was basically also taken out of the series by the refs who never let him play. He was in foul trouble in every game in the series. So spare me the firepower and that the Warriors have more guys. If you look at those top 4 guys, you can easily call that a wash. And then it's just role players the rest of the way. And they pummeled them. So, you know, give me a break. Bron Bron's supposed to be the best player in the league. He's been beaten 4-1 in routes against San Antonio and Golden State, and he was also swept once. That's not a good look, if you ask me. Draft is tonight. Celtics made the big news, trading the number 1 pick to the Sixers for the number 3 pick. We'll see if Danny the dealer, or is it Danny Strange, moves Ainge. He has something else up his sleeve. He's kind of doing a fine balance, playing for the now and the future. I think it was a pretty good move. I don't know that any of these guys, even though everybody is salivating over this draft, everybody up the top is like a one-and-done guy. I just don't know how anybody can project these guys, whether or not they think they're going to be all-timers and they're going to change the fortunes of all these franchises. I think they could easily get Josh Jackson at the 3 spot, the Celtics that is, and that could be a benefit to the team. Maybe somebody else, the kid from Duke, who's a more offensive player. I kind of like the idea of Jackson, defense and rebounding. That was the thing that I think they missed the most. They're going to go after some free agents to cure some of their offensive problems anyways. We'll see what happens as that goes down tonight. NBA draft later. The expansion NHL draft took place last night or 2 nights ago, I guess. And of course, the Stanley Cup finished up while we were gone, and it was the Penguins beating the Nashville Predators. Pittsburgh said they were down to clown in Nashtown. That's right, as they took care of business in Nashville and winning that series 4-2. The big thing out of this series, if you ask me, was Game 1, goal disallowed for Nashville, which could have set up the tone for them to win Game 1. Instead, they lost. And then in Game 6, they could have won this game if a goal was not allowed in that as well. So the 2 Game 1 and Game 6 pivotal games that went Pittsburgh's way, Nashville, and we see their fans there had a great time, and everybody was down to clown in Nashtown. It looked like before the games, after the games, but really the 2 disallowed goals, which both in everybody's account should have been allowed goals, could have easily turned this series towards Nashville and the Predators, and they could have been the champions. Remember, they were if you counted it overall between the 2 conferences, the 16th seed. They were an 8th seed in the West, but they would have been the 16th overall seed if you went 1 through 16, and Pittsburgh was the number 2 seed and also the defending champions. So Pittsburgh goes back-to-back championships as they won last year, and the Las Vegas Knights got the expansion draft, so they'll be the new team in the league. All right, we're going to keep this moving because we got a lot to get to, a whole bunch of other stuff that has taken place while we were gone. Most recently, the U.S. Open. Raise your hand if you had ever heard of Brooks Koepka before this weekend. I do not think so. I am not going to raise my hand because I had not. He becomes the 7th straight major championship winner, winning for the first time. And that includes the likes of Jason Day and Dustin Johnson in recent vintage. But that also means that 2 of the top players in the world, Jason Day and Dustin Johnson, have not backed that up with winning elsewhere, as we continue to have just the first-timers getting it done. And Brooks Koepka did it in record fashion, tying Rory McIlroy at -16. U.S. Open is supposed to be a tournament that plays at about, even par. But the Erin Hills of Wisconsin, which looked nice as we saw those pictures there, some of those wide shots looked beautiful. But what happened? -16. But also it was curious because Jason Day, Dustin Johnson, and Rory McIlroy all missed the cut. So the top players got eaten alive. And, Jordan Spieth didn't do very well. Ricky Fowler was the best of all the top players at -10. But, some of the top players did not do well at all, missing the cut and not being in contention if they did make the cut. And it was mostly no names up at the top. And it was Koepka getting it done at -16. Unbelievable performance by him. There was records abound. Lowest score took place, a -63 by somebody in this U.S. Open. So really, some guys went way low. The conditions just added up to it with a lot of rain right before the tournament took place. And then it made it for the greens to be playing easy for some of these guys as the weekend went on. And he got it done. So hats off to him. We'll see if he can back it up or if it's just going to be a one-and-doner. We're not sure, but that was certainly interesting. The U.S. Open, not known for low scores, usually known for very difficult conditions for guys to get it done. But he ties Rory McIlroy all-time lowest score at -16. All right, so some other things that took place while we were gone. The French Open, as we jump overseas, French Open took place, and that had another first-timer getting it done, as it was Jelena Ostapenko beating my girl Simona Halep. I was a little disappointed. I've been following Halep for a couple years since she won here in Connecticut, in the Connecticut Open a few years back, and she's been one of the top players. She's near the top of the rankings, and I thought sure she was going to get this championship at the French. She won 6-4 in the first, and then it was Ostapenko coming back 6-4 in the second, but then it was Halep up 3-0 in the third, up a break, and Ostapenko, the Latvian, came roaring back and won 6-3 in the third. So that was amazing, really, performance by this out-of-nowhere performer who really played well throughout. And we know, speaking of the NBA draft, is Kristaps Porzingis, the other Latvian, famously nicknamed the Latvian gangbanger. I don't know if we want to nickname Ostapenko that. That could get us in a little bit of trouble. But Porzingis, is he going to be traded? Is the Knicks actually possibly going to trade him? We'll find out. The draft is in about an hour or so, 2 hours perhaps. Will Phil Jackson do the unthinkable? I'm not sure. On the men's side, it was Rafael Nadal getting his 10th title, which is a record. He had already had the record for most French Open titles, but it was good, I guess, for tennis fans to see Rafa back in the winner's circle. It has been a while since that has happened for him. He's dealt with injuries in and out, but he did get it done, and he was back winning the French Open. So we'll see how that sets up the Wimbledon, which will be in about 2 weeks or so. Ken Djokovic, who we see there, it looked like he was on top of the world last year, but he really has struggled in the last calendar year, fallen out of favor in not winning any titles. Back on this side of the pond, Belmont finished off the Triple Crown. Of course, there was no Triple Crown this year, but the races were actually all pretty good, I thought. They all came down to the wire, most of them, and it was Tapwrit, another top Pletcher horse, getting it done, beating the sentimental favorite. Everybody's pick was Irish Warcry. He beat him at the line, basically, and got him done. The real sentimental favorite was actually Patch, the one-eyed horse, who raced in all three. Not all the horses in these races raced in all three of the legs, but Patch did that. He came from the outside, which he was positioned at the Kentucky Derby. I'm not sure where he was at the Preakness, but I thought it was interesting. The one-eyed horse who was missing basically his inside eye if you're on the track, and he was placed outside, so his peripheral vision really hindered him, but he still finished third, so he placed, if you had money on him, he did finish third. No Always Dreaming, no Cloud Computing, the winners of the other two legs, and also Classic Empire did not race, who would have been the favorite in the Belmont if he did. So that was the finishing of the Triple Crown. Soccer, some interesting things have been going on in soccer. U.S. qualifying took place again recently as they took care of business 2-0 against Trinidad and Tobago, and then they followed that up with a tie. And there we see Michael Bradley with the header early against Mexico in Mexico City at 1-1. So a good draw there. They are 2-2 now. In third in the qualifying, they're up 3 goals, plus 3 in the goal differential, 8 points, in pretty good position. They're off until September as far as qualifying. Gold Cup comes up pretty soon, or right around July 4th, so that'll be about next week, 2 weeks or so. Gold Cup, big tournaments going on there. But they'll still have to come back in September. Panama's right behind them. They'll play them again. Costa Rica's ahead of them. They'll play them again. They're done with Mexico, but they'll have Honduras again. That'll be September. We'll check on that. Bruce Arenas is doing pretty well. 3 wins, 4 draws, no losses since they made the coaching change. The Confederation Cup is going on right now in Russia, if you're into that. Some good things going on. Portugal and Mexico competing. Russia, another one of the top teams competing. The Championship League final, Real Madrid, speaking of Portugal, and Ronaldo. Ronaldo is on top of the world right now as they beat Juventus, my Italian favorite team. I was really rooting for them and Gigi Buffon to get it done, but they didn't. If you want to see a good soccer match, though, Barcelona, speaking of which, Barca will be playing Juventus in New Jersey in late July. Anybody interested in that? But Real Madrid got that done. MLS, quick, I'm just going to mention the standings. NYFC is in 3rd place at 27 points. Red Bull's 5th place, 23, so they are in the playoff picture right now. Revolution's still outside. They better make things happen, because if they miss the playoffs again this year, that's going to be real disappointing. They're at 8th at 20 points. I did want to mention quick, racing, Joey Logano back doing well this weekend, finishing 3rd in Michigan. We didn't make that big a deal about that infractions he had, which stripped him of the points of his win about 5-6 weeks ago. But since that point, he finished outside the top 20. Interesting. So maybe something was going on with that. And it was good to see him, the Connecticut Middletown kid, back doing well. He was very excited after the race. He thought he was going to do well this weekend, and he did, finishing 3rd to get him back in the playoff picture, race for the chase. All right, we're going to finish the show talking about boxing. Some big matches have taken place in recent months. You know, the Canelo Chavez fight, and you had the Ward most recently fight, knocking out, surprisingly, Kovalev, or was it not the KO, but the TKO in the 8th. But the big news coming out, and also locally, Danbury native Delvin Rodriguez, who we've had call in the show before, he did have a fight recently as well. Good to see him back. And some local kids in gold gloves, who we're going to talk about later in the year maybe, did very well. It's out of Danbury. But the big news is, of course, Floyd Moneymaker Mayweather coming out of retirement at the age of 40, taking on the McGregor from, you know, mixed martial arts, MMA. This, of course, is going to be a total clown show of a fight, if you ask me. Unbelievable amount of money going to go down, and we will talk about it more as we get later in the year. But we did have to mention that this fight is taking place in September, I believe. We'll have the dates, of course. But Mayweather coming out of retirement at age 40 against McGregor at age 27. Not a boxer. Boxing rules. Everybody's going to throw down a ton of money, and these guys are going to walk away with over $100 million each. Crazy dollars for what? It's going to be a clown show, if you ask me, but we'll talk about that more later. I do think we are running out of time. Of course, I am on vacation again next week. After 4th of July, we'll be back, try to get on a regular schedule and keep up with things. And I believe maybe we're out of time. Is that it? Yes. All right. We'll see you next time. Happy 4th of July.